Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity, y'all, to either make money in the market or to just learn from the market, right? But let me go ahead and give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth, y'all, and the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. With that being said, y'all, let's get started. So we are looking at the VIX, and as you can see, VIX has been finding the support right here at 1232, 1231 range. We are under the 5 EMA, and our resistance is at 1236. So it looks as if it wants to come back down to the downside and test this 1226. I'm going to mark this 1226 as a pre-market low because it could very well come back test that, or we can go back to the upside. Keep in mind, if the VIX goes up or down, that normally tells us a little bit more about the SPY. So I always ask myself, where am I going to have trouble? And right now, to the downside, that 1226 is our trouble place because that's a pre-market low that it's already tested. It could very well come down. As you can see, it's trying to break through this now. It could come back down to this, test this, and break through it, continue down, or we can find our support and go back to the upside. What's interesting is we're right in between the 5 EMA and the 20 EMA, so we need to watch those levels. So to the upside, we need to watch the 1240 and the 1238, 1240 range. If we break that, we can come back and test the 1244, and the ATR trailing stop is at 1252, and the 50 EMA is at 1256. So we definitely need to watch those areas. As you can see, we're just trading in this gathering spot. So let's go look at the SPY just to see where we are. And the SPY, it too has been trading in this zone. I always say the no trade zone. It has to give a signal or a clear direction as to which way it wants to go for me. So right now the support is at 528.51 and the resistance is at 529.07, and I put that slightly above this 50 EMA or this 20 EMA because we were getting rejected at the 50 EMA. So it needs to break above this 529.07 and close above that and give other confirmations that this is the direction that it's going. So right now that 50 EMA on this 30-minute chart is trouble for us. So we need to definitely watch the 528, 529 area. If it breaks this 529.07, then the next trouble place is at 529.44, and that's the ATR trailing stop. Anything is possible in the market, y'all. We can come back and retest this 531. That was, we just made new highs, but in my opinion, I would always say trade carefully. 530.39 is going to be a trouble place right here on this 1 hour chart, and on the 4 hour chart, again, the 531.52, which is a pre-market high. I would say the market has been running, SPY has been running. It would not surprise me, and I'm going to say this, it would not surprise me to see a cool off, meaning to see it come back to the downside. And we did that. We closed under, yesterday at 528.69. We did close at that level. However, we're still struggling to get above that 528.91, or, the high of this candle is 529. We're struggling under the 5 EMA. That's our resistance right now. I'm looking at it on this 4 hour chart. So if I trade the SPY, okay, it looks like, we're trying to break that. But if I trade the SPY, we'll definitely watch the 530.39 level because that's going to be a trouble place for us. Keep in mind, we did come back and test this 528.30, which is the 50 EMA. To the upside, our trouble places are 530.39 and the 531.52. If we break above the 531.52, we could very well continue to the upside. However, I just believe at some point we're going to have a cool off, and I don't know when that's going to be. Nobody can tell, right? So we just trade what we see. So to the downside, our trouble places, looking at it on this 4 hour chart, is at 427.07. The ATR trailing stop is at 525.25. And the 522.49, we're going to have trouble at those places to the downside. I always say, what will stop it from falling? Those are areas that will stop us from going to the downside. And what I like at this 50 EMA, looking at it on a 1 hour chart, at this 50 EMA, 528.30, if we break this level, then looking at it on the 1 hour, 522.32 is a long ways down, in my opinion, because SPY only moves, let's say, $4.74 per day, and we could very well come back, and if there's a small gap here that it needs to fill at some point. So I would say trade carefully today, and we really don't know the direction. Wait on your confirmations as to why, and when it goes against your why, do not be afraid to get out. I need to say that because things happen, and sometimes we hope, and we try to trade on hope, and hope is not a strategy. Let me say that again. So okay, with the SPY, I would say trade carefully. We are now looking at Tesla on a 30-minute chart, and Tesla, as you can see, has been kind of trading sideways for a few days. For a while, we made that 175 high, but we've been struggling to get back to that, and close above that area outside of that 181 that we tested. So in my opinion, again, it would not surprise me to see the market sell off today. And right now, I always try to go to our 4 o'clock candle, which will be around here. Our support for Tesla, looks like we're breaking out of an area, but I would definitely watch the 174.46 area as support for Tesla, because that's where most of our, yes, we've been trading in this area for a while. And 175.21 as resistance. If it should break above the 175.21, know that we're going to have trouble at the 175.76, which is the ATR trailing stop. So that's something to, be mindful of. And I use the moving averages and the ATR trailing stop. It just helped me with support and resistance, right? And we have to have something as a guide, or we need something as a guide. So looking at Tesla, the 5 and 50 looks like it wants to cross to the downside. I would say trade carefully. We came up and tested this 175.21, and we have a long wick here, meaning a lot of sellers were in this area. So my alert is under, 174.34. If we break under that level, then we could very well continue to the downside. And looking at it on this 30-minute chart, the 173.87 and the 172.79 area are areas of support, or places that could, we can find support and go back to the upside. But again, looking at it on a higher time frame, it looks like it's just been consolidating or giving us a gathering spot for a few days. For a while, we made this high of 181 only to come back and just go sideways, right? So trade what you see, trade carefully, don't rush into your trades. I say that often. So know that if Tesla breaks above the 175.21, we could very well have trouble at the 176.02 and the 177.51. Those are going to be trouble places looking at it on a higher time frame. So if I traded Tesla today, I would say very much so trade carefully, right? So let's go to NVDA. NVDA is interesting. Yesterday, and we had a high of 958.19, and as you can see, it started declining. After that, it start trading under the 5 EMA. So right now, our gathering spot, it's right here at 939.11 or 939.48. I would definitely watch that as a level of support. And as you can see, a lot of the, it came down, but this is where our price stopped here. There's 1, 2, 3, almost 4 candles here. So our resistance is going to be right here at the 942.78. I would definitely watch that level. So NVIDIA will need to break above that 942.78 level and close above that, not just break above that. It needs to close above that. And again, we are looking at the 30-minute time frame, so we need to look at it on a smaller time frame if you're in the trade. And I don't know what's wrong with my charts today. Okay, so right now support is at 939.02, resistance 942.78. That's above the 5, the 50 and the 20. So that's our trouble place. If we break above this 942.78, 949.74 is our next resistance, and I would say trade carefully. Now let's go to a higher time frame. So as you can see, a lot of our moving averages are just bunched together, so that would be like a strong area of resistance. If we break above where we are now, we could very well come back and retest the 956, 955 area. Anything is possible in the market. 958 is the high of this candle, and that was from 9 o'clock yesterday. 958.19, we could very well come back and retest that again. Anything is possible in the market. I say that often, and again, hope is not a strategy, right? So allow the charts to lead you and guide you. So right now, the ATR has dropped a little for NVIDIA. The ATR is $29.49 per day, and as you can see, it looks like we were creating a gathering spot here. We broke out of that gathering spot only to come up to this 958. Well, it looks as if we're getting rejected here, and it wants to come back to the downside. So I would it wouldn't surprise me, to see it come back down to the 921 or the 892 area. It would not surprise me. Let me say that again. All y'all, I say this so often, right? Trade what you see and do not rush into your trades. Y'all, I'm going to throw GameStop in there because it is interesting for me to see it. It was at $80, and look how it declined from there, and now we're back at $21.46 range, and I saw a gap that needed to be filled around the 24 and 20 area. I don't know when I marked. Okay, yes, there was a gap. The white lines is a gap that need to be filled, and as you can see, we've come down to fill that gap, and it didn't take us long to come back from the $80 back to the $21. So I hope and pray that no one got caught in holding this, believing that it was going to continue to the downside. One of the things, y'all, is if your trade goes against you, get out. Set your stop losses and get out, and don't be afraid to get out, right? So Disney is an inside day for today. So if it breaks above 104.06, then the target to the upside is the 105.87. So to the downside, if it breaks under 102.86, which is right where our ATR trailing stops. So below 102.86 gives us a target of 101.39. And let's see how much Disney normally moves on a daily basis. It normally moves $2.80 on a daily basis, and as you can see on this daily chart, we broke out of a consolidation or gathering spot and came down and found support on this 200 EMA. We are still under the 5 EMA, so if you trade Disney, I always say trade carefully. It is an inside day candle, and I've given the triggers for that. So let's go to AMD. AMD is interesting. Let's say that. So it's been trading in this zone, the 162.78, 160.56. So from 160.56 to 162.78 was our zone. It looks like we have broken out of that area only to create another gathering spot right here at the 166.35 area, up to, I would say, the 166.99, because we did break out of this. However, it looks like it may be getting rejected right here at the 167.93. So I would watch 166.35 as the support and 166.99 as the resistance, although we do have a pre-market high thus far at 167.98 area. So I would watch. We are above the 5 EMA. Just know that, AMD is AMD. It will do what it does. To me, it reminds me of Tesla. It just does what it does. And looking at it on this 1 hour chart, we see that the ATR trailing stop is really where we're having trouble at. We were above that, it tried to break through that, but it seemed like some sellers were right there to bring that price back down a little bit. So if I traded AMD, I would say trade carefully. We are above the 5 EMA. It tested 168.96. We can come back and retest that. Keep in mind, it closed at 162.62. So we are up a little from yesterday's close. So I would be mindful of that. I always say again, trade carefully. AMD moves $5.70 per day, and I know my charts need to be cleaned up a little bit. $5.70 per day, and it looks like the 50 EMA is our trouble place here at the 162. Well, we're going to gap up. So there's going to be a gap that's going to need to be filled to the downside when it opened, because we are above the 162.62. So it wouldn't surprise me to see it come back down and fill that gap again. Trade carefully. Allow your charts to lead you. I would definitely watch, to the downside, because there is a gap that needs to be filled. However, we can continue to the upside. It moves about $5 or $6, was it? Per day, $5.70, and that can be in either direction. Once the market open, it can go up $5 or it can go down $5 in either direction. So to the downside, under the 5 EMA, we're going to have trouble at 166.98, 164.88, and it's forming this ATR trail and stop at 163.95. Those are trouble places for us. Double support is what I like to say. It's right here at 162.74. So if I traded AMD, those are the levels that I would definitely watch to the upside or to the downside. Now, AI is an inside day candle, and the trigger to the upside, if it breaks above 26.73, then the target is 26.74. To the downside, if it breaks under 25.91, then the target to the downside is 25.42. And keep in mind, that is right at the 200 EMA at 25.49, looking at it on this 30-minute chart. And it too is just creating a gathering spot. It's just trading in this zone. So it has been trading in this area of $26.14 up to $26.25 is what I would say. I would definitely watch those areas, and it needs to break above 26.25 or below 26.14, and I would trade in that direction once it gives me a signal as to which way it wants to go. So we have looked at AI, AMD, NVDA, Tesla, SPY. CVX is an inside day, and the trigger to the upside, if it breaks above 162, then the target is 163.79. If it breaks below 160, the target is 160.23. If it breaks below, 160.48, then the 160.23 is the target. And it too is just, we don't see a whole lot pre-market. Just know that we're going to have trouble at the 161.20 and the 161.87 area. So if I traded CVX, I would definitely watch those levels and be very, very careful. Meta is also an inside day candle. If it breaks above 477.61, then the target is 482.60. If it breaks below 472.63, then the target to the downside is 471.25, and we are under the 5 EMA and the 200 EMA on this 30-minute chart. So I would definitely watch these levels of 470.97 and the 471.72, looking at it on this 30-minute chart. So yeah, we're going to go back to the SPY just to see where we are, and it looks as if the SPY is trying to break out of the 529.07 area. Just know 529.44 is a trouble place for us, and as you can see, it looks like we're trying to get rejected here. But again, when the bell rings, it seems like that's go time. Things just change. It changed quickly, so we have to be in position and be ready for the move, right? So looking at it on this 30-minute chart, it does look like our 5 and 50 is trying to cross. In my opinion, that's a bearish signal. That means that we could very well continue to the upside. And 529.44 again is a trouble place for us. So I'm going to look at Tesla one more time, and we marked the 174.46. Looking at Tesla, we could very well come back down. Again, it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me to see the market sell off today. Just my opinion. Again, not financial advice. And y'all listen, I just hope that everyone, I do these videos because this is what I see when I look at the market, and I try to explain it, from my viewpoint. I hope these are very, very informative for you. And again, I just want everybody to win. I want everyone to prosper. I hope that everyone have a very prosperous day, a very productive day. And y'all know I always like to leave you with this, right? It's not I always say it's not what happens to you. What really matters is how you respond. But I want everybody to be blessed and be a blessing to others, right? So until next time, y'all, enjoy your day today.